Let's break it all down here on Live Now from Fox. Brian Sobel, a friend here of our program, political analyst. Thanks so much for coming on Live Now. And when I was setting that up, I was just thinking to myself, Brian, I was like, this was remarkable on everything that happened. And you look back at it, I can't believe it happened.
What a month it was. You had, as you said in the setup, the assassination attempt, and then we were monitoring at that time the condition, frankly, of Joe Biden and wondering whether he could even make it to the convention, much less stand for the presidency. And then that went away in favor of Kamala Harris. And now we have the DNC coming up here very, very shortly. And then after that, game on, and we'll see where this all goes.
Yeah, it's so true. And I want to ask you because, of course, when the attempted assassination happened, of course, all media was on Donald Trump speaking about, I mean, this was just days before the RNC. And then the RNC goes and we see him every night there. And we were all just glued on to thinking we almost lost a former president. But now everything seems like it has shifted as far as Kamala Harris getting into the race. And now things look to be much, much tighter.
No question about it. And right now, Kamala Harris has a lot of momentum going in her favor. She is the new candidate, kind of the bright, shiny object right now for a lot of people to view. And so there will be a bump when she comes out of the Democrat National Convention. I have estimated, 5 to 6 points, probably, something like that. And then a lot of that will recede, Mike, in my view, because at that point, then people start paying real attention to not just the balloons and the confetti and all that, but what is this person actually saying and what's she going to bring to the presidency? And therein will be the real debate that starts after this nice bump that she receives from the convention.
And in this last month, of course, Trump surviving, doing rallies still, and doing alternative ways to get his message out. Just yesterday with Elon Musk there in his spaces on X, doing a little bit different. It was like, Brian, when I was listening to this, it was like you weren't listening to more of a rally. It was more of just a conversation, and millions of people were on the phone call as well.
Elon Musk billed it right at the top of his interview, which he said is not an interview, it's a conversation, that it would be more along the lines of two people just talking, and it turned out that way. I don't know that we learned a whole lot new, Mike, about Donald Trump's positions. I was especially interested, frankly, in some of the things that Elon Musk had to say. And some of them were not exactly in agreement with Donald Trump, but they generally supported his positions. For example, he said in that interview, and I thought it was very interesting, Donald, a lot of these illegal immigrants that are coming across the border are just hardworking people looking for an opportunity. And that was in contrast to Donald Trump pointing out that a lot of the people that are showing up coming across our border aren't the nicest people in the world. They're criminal elements from other places. And the former president cited Venezuela as one of the places where they're dumping their bad people, they're bad actors into the United States. So that was interesting. And I thought there was a very interesting line on the same subject where Donald Trump said, I was looking at a chart on immigration and I turned my head a little bit. So actually, maybe illegal immigration saved my life, which I thought was a pretty amusing line in the context of what they were talking about.
Yeah, no, truly. And another thing that I got pointed out to really when I was listening in on this, that he is going to go back to Butler sometime in October. And I wish Elon, though, asked him, is it going to be at the same site? Because I think a lot of people would want to know that as well.
I agree, and it probably should be. It's one of these things where it would give the former president an opportunity to, to say, hey, 6 weeks ago or whatever the date will be, I was almost killed here, but I come back in a triumphant way to declare this, that, and the other thing. I think that would play well. Going back to the Musk conversation, there are lots of opportunities there, but Musk is not a professional interviewer, and I don't know how many notes he had taken before and was going to utilize in the interview, but it was a long interview, a long conversation. I've got to call it what Musk wanted to call it, 2 hours. And of course, it was delayed by the denial of service situation that pulled the site down for about 40 minutes.
Yeah, so true. I think a lot of people were wondering what was going on behind the scenes, really, at both camps right there. Brian, I also got to ask you, too, now that we're talking about Kamala Harris as going for the presidency, is there going to be more pressure from the media to try to get her to do more of these sit-down interviews or news conference settings? We haven't seen it yet, and her camp is saying that it'll happen sometime in August, but it's already mid-August now, and we haven't seen it yet.
First of all, it's incomprehensible to me that she could go all this time from her announcement to today, over 3 weeks, or roughly around 3 weeks, without sitting down and meeting with the media. It's just unbelievable. And what's even more unbelievable to me is that the media is allowing her to get away with that. If it were anybody else, I think the media would be demanding that she sit down. And so this idea that she can kind of play out the same strategy that Joe Biden has been playing out for a really long time, which is I'll do some teleprompter Joe things or teleprompter Kamala things, and I'll attend these rallies and I'll be seen with people in the glitterati, but I'm not meeting with the media, is really unacceptable in my view. And the mainstream media ought to be really hammering her to start sitting down with a lot of these very large media outlets and beginning to talk and articulate her vision for America.
Yeah, so true. And, here on Live Now from Fox, we would be able to take that interview and we would show it from the beginning all the way to the end for everyone. I think that's what a lot of people like here about this is we don't show a soundbite or 90 seconds of something. We just try to show everything. So we welcome the Harris camp. If they want to do we'll show it to everyone in its entirety. But we'll wait and see on that one. I know.
Yep. Well, they're going to do it in their own time.
Yeah.
But their own time isn't necessarily the time of the American people. The American people want to hear from her now, not when she is deciding to finally sit down with somebody.
Well, yeah, and especially since July was so historic, where we had a sitting president said he is going to drop out of the race, and then in the next statement endorse Kamala Harris. And we really didn't even hear from her on just how that all came about. What was it like behind the scenes? I mean, the American people don't know any of that.
No, and I think she owes the American people an explanation about how that transpired, and frankly, what her role in that was. There was a lot of suspicion that she was just quietly pushing it to the conclusion that it came to. And if that's the case, hey, be honest with the American people at some point and say, hey, in evaluating everything, I really thought I was the better candidate moving forward. She's never going to say that. But the American people certainly wonder about that. And since nobody can talk with her or she won't do any interviews, that question hasn't been asked yet.
Yeah, so true. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. As always, on Live Now from Fox, it's always great to speak with you. And I know we'll be speaking from here all the way to November. So we appreciate it.
Perfect, Mike. Great chatting with you.